This is the 2013 Ram 1500 pickup truck. It's got two new features that are worth looking at. We'll start by looking at one under the hood. The previous 6-cylinder engine in the Ram was a 3.7 liter job. Put out 215 horsepower and 235 foot-pounds of torque. It was somewhat of a slug, and the gas mileage was only 1 mile per gallon more than the V8 engines. It's now been replaced by a 3.6 liter V6 with a nice healthy 305 horsepower, 269 foot-pounds of torque, and the gas mileage rating is 17 in the city and 25 on the highway. A big improvement on both ends. And if you notice, there's a lot of space between the radiator and the V6 engine, showing we got a lot more room for a bigger engine in here. For 2013, you can still get a 4.7 liter V8 at 310 horsepower or a 5.7 Hemi at 395 horsepower. But the advantage of this engine is you get more than adequate power and excellent fuel economy. It's also attached to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The second improved feature on the Ram is the interior. They've done a good job of improving things here. For one, we get a nice instrument panel here with nice large gauges, easy to read. The steering wheel control buttons, which are optional, are easy to use. No more shift lever. We now get a shift knob, which I think works very well. The air conditioning controls are still simple to use. And I have the optional information screen with satellite radio and navigation. It's nice, but of course you do have to pay extra for this. In terms of cabin storage, the base glove box is kind of mediocre. There's not much room in here, but it doesn't matter because we have another large box in top. Coin holders, a nice storage bin under the armrest, and another giant storage on here, plus storage in the door panels. So in the end, if you have lots of gear to put away, you'll have plenty of room inside the cabin. Not a problem here. Just for the record, Chrysler doesn't want to use the word Dodge and Ram in the same sentence anymore. From now on, it's just Ram, and they have lots of reminders here. A big Ram emblem on the dash so you don't forget. A Ram emblem on the steering wheel so you don't forget. Ram on the coin box. Ram emblems down on the floor mats. Ram emblems on the door panels. You won't mistake this for a Chevy or Ford anytime soon. Overall, the materials and workmanship of the new Ram is far better than the previous Rams. I don't think you're going to be disappointed, especially if you like the earlier models. And secondly, there's lots of sufficient room in this rear seat area too. The only beef I had was with the auto dimming mirror system. When driving in heavy city traffic at night, I like to turn these off because it darkens the mirrors and makes it difficult to see vehicles in other lanes. However, I never could find a disconnect switch, so you have to put a piece of tape over the sensor hole to turn it off. Kind of a cheesy solution, but it's the only way to turn it off if you don't like it. No big deal, but something to be aware of. Now the first question we might ask is how this new V6 drives. But you have to remember, it's not horsepower that matters in a truck, it's torque. In this respect, this engine is lacking just a wee bit at low RPM, but once you hit 2,000 RPM or so, it picks up very well. It's very smooth and quiet too. I've been driving this for several days, and in mixed city and highway commuting, I'm getting around 17.5 miles per gallon thus far. As we drive it later on during the week, I'm sure the mileage will be a lot better. Now, as far as the truck itself goes, the suspension is very smooth and quiet. The steering has great feel. The brake pedal is nice and firm the way it should be, and the cabin's very quiet. And the seating position is excellent. This is a nice vehicle to take on long trips. Now there's a third feature on the Ram trucks. It's called the air suspension system. It can raise the suspension 2 inches for going off-road or lower it 2 inches for driving on the highway. Unfortunately, I didn't get that on this vehicle, so I don't know how it works. But the base suspension here works so well, I'm really not going to miss the optional air suspension. To get the real-world highway mileage on the Ram, we of course have to take it on a real highway. Currently we're doing highway speeds on a slight upgrade, getting exactly 21 miles per gallon. Previously, on another Ram with a 5.7 Hemi 4x4, we were getting about 17 on the same driving conditions on the same highway. So obviously the V6 has a significant improvement. I also might add that this is a very comfortable vehicle to drive at high speeds. Very smooth, low wind noise. Great for long trips. Just as the Ram had a very smooth ride on the freeway, it's got a very comfortable ride on these back gravelly rough roads as well. Again, this is one of the smoother trucks I've ever driven. And again, I'm very impressed. One of the reasons the Ram drives so well with a comfortable ride is it has a light-duty suspension with a tow rating that's a bit on the low side, around 5,600 pounds, which to me is reasonable because very few quarter-ton owners will ever tow more than that. But for those who do, there are some optional suspension packages that can boost this up to 11,500 pounds. So if you tow a lot, you're not going to be left out. And by the way, if you're wondering what all that goop is on the side of the vehicle, it's not dirt, it's thick wax. It protects the paint from scratches. Little trick I learned. Works quite well, actually. One feature I liked about the Ram is it has a built-in automatic garage door opener, so after a long day of driving, you just pull up to your house and go right in. It's all open for you. Works out great. Opens the roof too. Well, I've been driving the Ram for several days now, and my real-world mileage is 16 miles per gallon in heavy city driving, about 17.5 in mixed driving, and 21 to 22 miles per gallon at 75 miles per hour plus cruising on the freeway, which is about 2 to 4 miles per gallon better than what we get on the V8 version. Percentage-wise, it's a significant increase. And a footnote, on the city expressways where the speeds run around 50 to 65 miles per hour, I did surpass the 23 mile per gallon mark. Not quite up to the 25 listed on the price sticker, but we're getting there. This camera's not made for night use, but for what it's worth, here's what the instrument panel looks like at night. Well, we had a dust storm blow in last night, and all that dirt stuck to the wax like a magnet. But frankly, I think it gives it a nice, rugged off-road look. Maybe I'll take it to the car wash tomorrow instead of today. The question most Ram buyers will be asking themselves is whether they should get the V8 or the V6. It's like this: if you're doing heavy-duty driving, like lots of towing, lots of hauling, or lots of four-wheel driving, you're better off getting the V8. You'll need the power. But for a two-wheel drive truck, daily transportation, light-duty use, occasional recreational use, this new V6 is absolutely great. It has all the power you'll ever need and great gas mileage to boot. It's a great engine. People often ask me what type of truck I would buy. Personally, I like the mid-size trucks, like the Nissan Frontier, Toyota Tacoma, and that nice Honda Ridgeline. But frankly, if you have a giant truck like this with all this room, it gets better gas mileage than any mid-size. Makes you think twice, and I think this would be on my list too. Dodge has made lots and lots of improvements in the Ram series over the decades, and this is a really, really nice truck.